Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And we're going to talk about Marvel, we're going to talk about Disney, we're going to talk about the future of Spider-Man and whether or not Miles Morales will still be Miles Morales. Apparently, Disney has settled with the estate of Steve Ditko over Spider-Man and other Marvel hero rights. This just happened today. And I do have to give a hat tip to Ethan Van Sciver because I heard about it through his video. He did. And I know he's been speculating that a lot of these replacement characters are being done for trademark reasons, not necessarily for diversity reasons. It's, you know, the companies, the publishers are creating derivative characters. So if they lose the rights to, say, the classic version of Spider-Man from the 1960s that Steve Ditko co-created, well, they have Miles Morales that they own completely that they created in 2011. So we're going to look at this and see what this entails. But if you remember a couple of years ago, there was some discussion that the estate of Steve Ditko wanted to cash in because they're like, hey, he helped create so many classic Marvel characters and his family wanted a piece of that action. I don't blame him.
I don't blame him either.
Given how many billions of dollars those movies made, I don't blame him one bit. So let's talk about this. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
So Disney versus Ditko ends with settlement. So they settled. Updated, amid all the turmoil in the MCU, Disney now has one less battle to fight. After 2 years, Disney and subsidiary Marvel have reached a settlement with the estate of acclaimed comic book artist Steve Ditko. Lawyers for the Mouse House and the Ditko estate filed court papers on December 6th that effectively ended the dispute. A final affirmation of the settlement is expected in the coming weeks. So I think they basically probably bought him out. Or not him, but his family, and they probably said, we'll give you X millions of dollars. They'll never disclose the amount, but they'll probably say, hey, we'll give you X millions of dollars, but we own Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, free and clear, like forever. They said, as in previous settlements and resolutions that Disney and Marvel have reached with Jack Kirby, the Jack Kirby estate, and others, the settlement with the Ditko estate is confidential.
Oh, it always is.
However, a well-positioned source says that all sides are very satisfied with the outcome. Again, you're making billions and billions of dollars on, especially now, you know, the Spider-Man movies are about the only ones that are still bankable. And of course, you know, the family's going to want a cut of that. I mean, who wouldn't, right?
And they get, you know, they pay him off one big lump sum and then they got rid of him.
Yes, that's exactly what I think it was.
Like, yeah.
They're probably like, here's $25 million, $50 million, a drop in the bucket compared to what Spider-Man is probably actually worth. And they're like, yes, but you go away. You never talk about this again. But we own Spider-Man and Doctor Strange and Iron Man, all the other characters he helped co-create. We own them free and clear. Capiche? And they're like, yeah, sure. We'll cash that check. So unfortunately, it came after Steve Ditko's death.
I was going to say, it's kind of sad now, though.
Yeah, it is sad, you know, but his family gets, I mean, it's the same thing that's kind of going on with Superman, Superboy, and, you know, the estate of the creators of Superman. It's going on for like years, decades. So they said that, yeah, the home of Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Iron Man, and many more is fighting back against termination notice. Apparently, there's a termination notice, as I understand.
There's termination for the trademarks. It sounds like
the trademark, yeah. And I think they filed. I want to say it was 2019 was like D-Day.
Yeah, so for several months they've received termination notices from the Copyright Office and the estates of the heirs. Basically, that's going to go back to the states. Is that what's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and again, I haven't been following this super close. I do remember this coming up a couple of years ago, and they're like, oh, crap, we're doing Doctor Strange movies. What are we going to do about this? We're doing Spider-Man movies. What are we going to do about this? And it's been speculated by Van Sciver and others that the diversity replacements for these classic characters, the only reason that they're happening now is that so many of these trademarks, these copyrights are expiring. So what do? Oh, let's make a different Batman. Let's make a different Superman. Let's make a different Wonder Woman. You know, then we still own the rights to those versions of the characters. And so far, I think Miles Morales is the only one that's actually stuck. You know, and partially because they pushed him so hard, you know, the movies and the video games and all that. But it is interesting because this might explain why Miles Morales is Miles Morales. Okay, because
plus all these trademarks have just been recent, which explains that too. We're like, why are all these trademarks just recent? Because they were expiring and they had to renew them, and they're making deals to do so.
Yeah, if 2019 was the date in question, they filed for Miles Morales being a trademark in 2020, summer of 2020, which means that probably when they got the notice and then they had to get their lawyers together, whatever. But some of them are still pending. Some of them just got through the trademark system. But the reason Miles Morales is they have to trademark Miles Morales. And how do you trademark something? Well, you file for intent to use or an active use with the we know this because we've done it with the trademark office. But then you have to actually use the mark in commerce. So if you call the Miles Morales figures Spider-Man, that's not good enough. You have to show proof that you're using it. So we're gonna trademark Miles Morales. So all these action figures, they all have Miles Morales on them. So that's why. This is why Miles Morales is Miles Morales. So it's interesting because now that this whole thing is pushed through, now could we see them refer to Miles Morales as Spider-Man on packaging? Could we see them maybe downplay Miles Morales? Because, if that's a huge if, that's speculation on EVS's part. I have no idea. But if he was created solely to be a replacement for Peter Parker, if this whole thing fell through, will they pull back on that? I don't think so because they pushed him so hard in the movies. But maybe
they won't because they'll be accused of racism.
Yeah. Maybe they'll stop treating Peter Parker like a punk, though. Yeah.
Well, back to the other thing about the Ditko thing. What interested me, I was interested about, and what I thought about to myself, and then they talk about in the paragraph above this was, usually when you're doing something like this, you are work for hire.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm surprised they got anything, because they could have argued that unless there was something in writing saying it would revert to the estate, usually when you work for hire, it goes to the company.
Yeah, so
that's what I thought was interesting, that they got anything, honestly.
So here's where it is interesting, right? And it might have been, I mean, who knows if he had a handshake deal with Stan Lee. I don't know. I mean, Stan Lee basically took credit for the creation of all the Marvel characters, and they were co-creations. And there were some of them that he had more involvement in than others. Anyway, if there's a handshake deal, who the hell knows what was going on? But yeah, typically you work for the company, you make hamburgers for McDonald's, you don't get a nickel every time somebody buys the hamburger, unless there was another agreement. And this is part of the reason I think why we don't see a lot of new characters being created at Marvel and DC is that, creators have gotten wise and they're like, well, I'm not going to make new characters and give them to you because I don't get anything.
Right.
If you make a movie.
And then my next thing, I'm wondering if they did have something, like there was some kind of agreement about it returning, because why else would they be giving termination notices, and why would they win and get a settlement? They wouldn't unless they had grounds to be given, because they thought they owned it free and clear.
Yeah.
They would have just been like, too bad, but they didn't. So that tells me that something had to have been somewhere in writing or something that they thought they better buy them out because they might win.
Yeah, so I mean, it might come down to like, look, we have proof. If this is his kids or his grandkids, we have proof. My dad or my granddad did the heavy lifting in the creation of Spider-Man, which some people have speculated that Steve Ditko actually did more to create Spider-Man than Stan Lee did. But they might be able to make that argument that, or my dad got taken advantage of, or what I'm saying? And it was the same with Superman too. I mean, when the creators of Superman signed the check, they did not realize that they were signing away their rights. And, it might have been that Ditko thought he would get something more, and it never happened. Who knows? But yeah, I mean, even now you've got modern creators getting like $5,000 from Disney when they go out and do a Civil War movie, and they're making $1 billion+ at the box office. They're like, here's $5,000.
Using their story and everything.
Using their story.
But if it's what they agreed to.
If it's what they agreed to. Yeah, that's just it, If it's what they agreed to, and there's so many creators that were happy for the work back in the day, they had no way of knowing back then that anything was going to happen, because they were comic books. People read them and they threw them out. They had no way of knowing these characters were going to be popular. I mean, Rob Liefeld, he made Deadpool, as a parody of Slade, from Teen Titans, and he had no way of knowing Deadpool was going to take off and be this huge character on his own, So I think he gets something. I'm not sure exactly how he had that worked out, but yeah, I mean, you have no idea, and that's the thing. But it's gonna be really interesting to see if this changes, and what will happen is if it does change, them being able to use Miles Morales or Spider-Man more interchangeably, they'll just be like, well, we felt it was about time that Miles comes into his own, and we're finally going to refer to him as Spider-Man, because that's what he should have always been all along. It's like, nah, you're just doing it because you can do it now. Anyway, are you ready to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Let's wrap this up. Please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, guys. We'll talk later.
Bye.